Good morning, everyone. This is Gary Kay, and you are watching a special video edition of my Rants and Raves podcast. And we've been talking a lot about the ISE show this month. And of course, we're going to continue to do that until we get there in Amsterdam in a couple of weeks. And I'm joined today by Paul Vanderplots, who's the president of VuWall, president and founder of VuWall. Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Very well, and you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for joining me. You've got a new product that, well, first off, I should, before we talk about the new product, let's talk a little bit about VuWall for companies and people that may not know who you are and where you come from.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, VuWall, I started this company about 9 years ago with the idea to serve the control room industry with video wall controllers based on commercial off-the-shelf hardware. The difference that we make here is really the software that's used in those video wall controllers. So more and more AV over IP is coming. So that's how we're getting more and more interest for that field.
Yeah, and that's kind of what led you to the SDVOE Alliance, which is why I'm talking to you today. At ISE, you're going to be at ISE in Hall 15, stand N275. So everyone put that on their map. You're going to want to see this. But basically, you're launching a sort of universal software platform for SDVOE, right?
That's correct. That's software based on the NT Plus and the NT range of processors that are part of the alliance. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to demonstrate this to explain how it works, right?
Yes.
All right. So it's called TRX. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
All right, so let's do a demo. Let's see how that works and how it operates and sort of where you fit into the SDVOE. For those of you who don't recall or may not know, SDVOE is a standard for sending AV over IP, and of course the industry is moving towards the network, so this is important. So go ahead and share your screen, if you will.
Okay, let me go. Let's tell me if you screen. Do you see my screen now?
Yep, we do.
Okay. So this is a real demo, by the way. We have a few encoders and decoders based on the NT chip in our office here, and I'm gonna connect to those devices directly. So that's a real demo. That's how an operator will use it. So that's the first experience with TRX. The user will come here. It's good for installers and end users also. So for installers, the first thing is the configuration. So basically there's 3 steps. First, there's the planning phase of encoders and decoders in a building. Then there's the detect and configuration of the devices themselves, the encoder decoders. And then there's the finish where you can export your configuration file and you're ready to operate the software and operate the devices. So let's go ahead with planning the installation. So we have a blank page here. And the first thing we do, we add a zone that we can change and rename room 1, for example. So I can add multiple zones, and I call this computer room, for example. And then I put the displays I will have in my project. So I may have a screen, I may have a video wall. So sorry, oops. Let's use a 2x1 video wall. So it's a small 2x1 video wall. And then in zone 2, that would be where we have our equipment of our equipment rack, where we could put some different devices, computer, media player, set-top box, TV tuner, stuff like that. So now the next step, I connect my encoders and decoders to the network, and I will detect them automatically. And here they are. So here we detect 3 decoders and 3 encoders. So what we want to do is associate a decoder with a screen. So there's one.
So basically what you're doing is creating a virtual matrix, kind of.
Exactly. So we know we have a bunch of decoders that will be installed behind the screens. So we have to associate them in our map.
Okay.
So we connect it here, and we can call it screen 1, for example. We know that decoder will go on the screen 1. Then we have another decoder that goes on the first screen of our video wall. So we call it video 1, two. So that's the first of two on the video wall. And then we have the next one. That's video two of two, for example. Okay?
Right.
And then we have the sources. So we have the first decoder. Same thing, we can name it. I'm not going to go through all of that. Of course, here you have all the configuration required for each device. So you can set the configuration. But I'm going to just associate them for the sake of the demo. By the way, you see that when you select an encoder, everything that's not related to an encoder is grayed out. So I wouldn't be able to put an encoder to a display because it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we identify that. We also identify if all the devices on the network have the same firmware. So that's the first thing we detect. Here we didn't see any signal, so they all have the same firmware. So now we're ready with our configuration. So now we can finish. The thing we could do is export the complete setup into an Excel file. The advantage of that is that an integrator could print that Excel file and send it to their customer, the IT department, and say, okay, I have assigned those IP address to those devices. Is that correct? And then they can check and then can correct, and then they can re-import the device the file that would reconfigure the devices. So that's very interesting in large deployments, of course. So now I can go to operations. So that would be mostly for the end user. And here is just a drag and drop operation. So I have this PC, I want to see it on this screen. I have this set-top box, I want to see it on the first screen of the video wall, and the media player on the other screen of the video wall. So that's really the basic operation.
So this particular use operation here where you're actually applying this can either be done through software, could be connected to an existing control system or any other sort of control interface.
Perfectly, exactly. So if you'd wanted to do that, you could save this as a preset. So I could save this as a preset.
Gotcha.
So
if you're in a college and the professor always uses the same configuration,
exactly,
you can name it after that professor and they come in and just select their configuration.
Exactly. So I'm creating this configuration and saving it as a preset.
And so this software has a seat license or a use, do you buy the software application, you lease it, or how does it work?
It's a license. There is one server, so that's the central brain of the software. And then there's a license per number of devices on the network. So per number of endpoints, encoders or decoders.
And is it compatible with all the different manufacturers' SDVoE products?
Yeah, all the products that are SDVoE compatible would be able to communicate with this software.
Oh, that's nice. And this really, you're showing sort of a room example, but it's expandable and scalable up to very large control system or
exactly.
Even
so you could
a large facility deployment.
Yeah, you could create many rooms, and you can group stuff also by logic. Here we created one room, but we could create a group that's the group of security displays in a whole campus. So when we have a security message to send, let's say this encoder generates the signal for security instructions. Instead of sending drag and drop to all the displays, we can group them in one group and just drag and drop to the group, and it will apply right on all the monitors of that group.
Okay.
So you can create as many groups as you want.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So there's no limitation really, and so it can be facility wide.
So one major thing we're working on, and as the BRNT chips evolve in functionalities, the more so in the video wall deployments, is the video wall feature. So here you saw I was dragging and dropping one device on each monitor, but if you drag it on the video wall, then the source will just stretch across the video wall. We'll have a new feature that will allow also the picture-in-picture, which will be a functionality available on the NT processors. And that's just the beginning of it. We'll be able to stitch different decoders and make it a single logical surface where you can move around content easily. And that's where you know, the basic software becomes hard to use when you have to do picture-in-picture compositing of sources and so on.
Right. So all these new features, are they going to be available as software upgrades, or okay? So if you buy into the system, the TRX system now, it includes your seat licenses and use licenses, includes all the upgrades.
Yeah, so it includes a complete support for 1 year. So you'll have we generally release between 2 and 4 times a year, depending on the new features. But during the year of your maintenance contract, you can upgrade to all the features. So you just have to extend the maintenance contract as you need more features. Okay. And you support, of course.
So, Paul, thank you very much for doing this demo. Again, VuWall is going to be in Hall 15, stand N275. They also, you can see them at VuWall.com, which is VuWall.com. And the TRX software are already available on your site?
Yes. Yeah, we have some explanation about the product. If you go on our product page, AV Network Management, it'll show a little demo and a description of the product. But of course, as you see, I've just done a live demo. Mm-hmm. This can be done if customers want a more specific demo. This is a real demo talking to real devices. So we can easily do that online for people who are interested in more specific features.
Well, thank you. I greatly appreciate this. I think this certainly makes it me understand it a little bit better as well. And I hope that everyone will head over to Hall 15, stand N275. Of course, they're part of the SDVOE Alliance as well, so you can see that at sdvoe.org. Paul, thank you very much this morning. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, everyone, for watching. Of course, we'll be at ISE. Watch and see all of our coverage of ISE. It's already up on our website at ravepubs.com. Have a great day.